I'm here. I'm lurking. I'm hiding behind the banner. This is Know Nothing in a horror movie. You're gonna get a jump scare. Couldn't see myself because I had my OBS too far off screen. It's me, Know Nothing Attorney. I know nothing, so you can too. Because it's only in embracing that we know nothing that we can actually learn anything. And we keep learning here on this channel. We do it all the time. And we keep teaching each other stuff. And I'm happy to learn from anybody, anything that they want to teach. I'm always happy to learn. Life continues to be grand on my end. I mean, the world's on fire, but personal life is going great. I'm gonna pause a minute to see if any of my regulars come in. They are, at this point, I guess, used to seeing me on later than this, which is not when I want to be streaming, or at least not when I want to start streaming. I want to start streaming at 9 my time, if not sooner. I think I'm still recovering from the massive burnout of making my first video. I ran myself ragged doing that. I completely disrupted my whole life. But as always, every time I mention it, I will say I'm very proud of how it turned out. So it's worth it. And Laura's here. What's up, Laura? You don't like gingerbread? Okay. Can you not set it on the bed then? There's a side table. Or you can get up for a second. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. That's not what I want. Let's pull up this. It doesn't look like any of the regulars are in yet, so, you know, we'll take our time. See if we can find anybody else. What do we want to work on today? Like, I feel like I need a break from... I feel like my camera isn't as sharp as it could be. I'm also going to do an audio reset. I'll do an audio reset real quick. Okay, audio's reset. Let's reset the camera. Okay. That's a little sharper, I think. All right. I think what I want to do is at least make another short. I think I can make another short just so I can release something because it's been too long since I've released something. I do think I want to make some kind of content out of my gender conversation with Super Jesus, but it went on for so long. It's hard for me to. I think I'm gonna have to listen to that on my own time and figure out which part I want to just cut out to make a video of. But I think we can go back to the 30-minute video and make something out of that. Bum, 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 bum. If I can even remember how doing any of that works. Okay, Da Vinci. It's been a long time since I brought up Da Vinci. Okay, we got Da Vinci over here. What do we want to put down here on the bottom? Hey, Light Spectre, what's going on? Thank you for welcoming me to stream. Welcome to you, to me being welcomed to my stream by you. Why do you prefer the YouTube side? I really need to get the TikTok side up and running and stop. I mean, I think I have to release a few more videos. I'm not sure how it works. I'll just like straight up ask. Okay. Yeah, I have to have at least 1,000 viewers. Yeah, I'm so far away from having that. Okay. Well, you can dominate the YouTube chat. Dang, I've got a lot of work to do on TikTok. I probably need to like get in the habit of just making more like even shorter form content, like plan it less, and then just like release a real-time analysis. Man, I don't know how to make content as quickly as that would require. That is not my kind of vibe. Like maybe my goal needs to be get enough momentum going on Twitch that I can get some regular debates, and then I can post some debate shorts on TikTok until I get 1,000 followers. Like, I don't know, man. Like, TikTok makes me, and like, just the internet in general makes me realize like what a different kind of mentality I have compared to other human beings. Like, it makes me realize how different human beings are in general. Just the idea, I've had to pass so many mental blocks along the road of why would anyone want to hear my opinion on stuff? But like for a TikToker to be able to post enough content to like just make it all the time, that's just another level, dude. That is wild to me. Yeah, like it just whenever I have a thought, that's so weird to me. And maybe that's just something I can't do with my current job because my brain is too fried constantly to have the opportunity to have thoughts about anything until I get off of work. I don't know if it is weird to everyone. Some people are totally fine with the idea other people want to hear my opinions. I had to go through a lot of mental work to get myself to the space where I'm like, there is no one that I know of that has my exact intersection of things, interests, and specific knowledge, that I am the only person that I know of that could do my specific task. Perhaps. 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 What is that? That's... theme song. Perhaps. Perhaps. To Coupling. Man, I forgot that I watched Coupling. It was a British sitcom. If I remember correctly, kind of ended on not a great note, and that like one of the central characters who kind of disappeared from the show, like came back at the end of the show with the joke that they had become trans. Neat. What a cool joke. Anyway. Maddie, see Light Spectre, now you're alone in YouTube chat and got one of my regulars in Twitch chat. So you can go continue to be king of the YouTube chat. Keep it locked down, keep it busy for me, I guess. Maddie, I was talking about Coupling. It's like I think a Friends-like show from the UK. What are you up to tonight, Maddie? You know of it? You're here now too? You're in both places? Oh, dang. So today you're Light Spectre and not NetDad. I remember being entertained by it, but I don't remember anything about the show at all, so... Shows you it was at least good enough to not be remembered at all. What was I gonna make a bit about? Where even is the video that I'm looking for? Okay. Oh, like there was a US version? Oh, I don't remember the US version at all. I mean, I don't remember there being one. Okay, let's make a quick snippet out of this thing. Who is Rebecca Harris? You made yourself sad with a reference I don't even know. What if I do like just a quick bit that's just the Article 5 bit? That might be helpful. The only thing explicitly protected from rewrite is equal representation of the states in the Senate. And when lawyers read law, huh? Back here? Okay. Hey. The Congress
on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states,
How long is this bit?
shall call a convention for proposing amendments,
Starts at 5:50.
what shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by 3/4 of the several states. If you're not keeping score, that's 34 states to call a convention, and 38 to ratify whatever comes out of it. And I mean whatever. Up to and including a complete rewrite of the Constitution. Heck, we've used it to make every major change to the government in American history. Women's right to vote, equal protection under the law, the abolition of slavery. Time and time again, Article 5 has taken the unrealistic and made it reality.
Gee
There
whiz,
is
buddy.
no limit. The only
Gosh
thing
darn it.
explicitly protected from rewrite is equal representation of the states.
So that's
in the
1
Senate.
minute.
And when lawyers read law, there's a rule. The intentional inclusion of certain things means the intentional
Now we're
exclusion
cooking with gas.
of all others. So when the founders
get outta here
noted
quick as
only
a herd of
one
turtles.
exception to Article 5's power, the equal representation of the states in the Senate, it meant they intended the tool to be capable of quite literally anything else. And why wouldn't they? That's exactly what they were doing when they wrote it. Using a convention to factory reset their government. Don't forget, our current Constitution is the second one. When the founders saw that the Articles of Confederation were broken, they didn't enshrine the document as untouchable. No. They acknowledged it and replaced it with something better. And make no mistake, our system is broken.
No, I just stop it right there. I don't do the lead into the next part of the video. So that's a 2-minute video. I think that's all right. I'll make a short out of that. How many 2-minute shorts can I make out of a 28-minute video? I could just do my special thanks section as a separate short.
The Congress, on the application of the legislature.
Huh. Yeah, what's up? Help me learn how to make short form content, Maddie. Or whatever your suggestion's about. Make it 18 seconds. I'm pinching my throat when I'm narrating.
Of 2/3 of the several states shall call a convention for proposing amendments, what shall be
Pinching my
valid to
throat.
all intents and purposes as part of this.
I mean, I have a vast degree of experience. I spent less than 2 semesters in theater, and I spent less than 1 semester in choir, so I would think I would know if pinching your throat were a thing. Can you help me understand?
Constitution, when ratified by 3/4 of the several states. If you're not keeping score, that's 34 states to call a convention, and 38 to ratify whatever comes out of it. And I
Maybe.
mean whatever. Up to
I think another part of it is it might just be like Hey Light Spectre, I don't know if you would have noticed this, but do you feel like since you've known me, has my natural register changed? Hi. Yeah, you. We've known each other almost 2 years. Like, do I talk lower normally than I used to? Because facts, I do talk lower than I used to. Because I think it was like, I think I've always been uncomfortable with my natural register because I like had a fawning behavior. I never wanted to come off as having a lower voice, and I don't think it was ever like conscious. So if I was slipping back into an uncomfortable territory, recording myself doing narration for a video, then it makes sense to me that I would slip back into that fawning thing where I shift my natural register. Well, sure, but like you've seen me in person multiple times over the past 2 years. You haven't noticed a difference? And that might be different because the gang has made me feel comfortable since I've known them, so maybe I'm more okay being my natural self. Yeah, I didn't figure. It was a just in case you had noticed thing. So I wonder if getting more used to stream, I would just be more comfortable doing my natural voice with like a new video. That video made me so stressed. Oh, thank you. Okay. Well, so it's just me being uncomfortable in a video. Hey, it landed me a first date, so good enough, I guess. Okay. Well, now Maddie's got me thinking, oh, maybe I don't want to make short form content out of this video. You know what? Now I'm curious. Hold on. Maddie's got me thinking. How dare you make me think, Maddie?
Why are Democrats stuck on the same...
Window capture. Okay, let's listen to the difference. Because I think I was comfortable by this point, and I was feeling smug in the debate, so I want to hear it for myself. Thank you for the interesting exercise, Maddie. Okay, here we go.
Same shitty propaganda that already didn't work?
Oh no, but now
Well,
it's like high
they didn't
speed.
work because people weren't educated. I'm here to educate people. Would
Yeah, this isn't gonna help, is it?
you like to come be educated?
Why are your slides full of idiotic...
No, let's not do the short content. Is this it?
On what grounds? What is the grounds for that?
This is not it. Oh my god, my hair.
If that group of people is limited to with the 2 points I made, now that one
Starting to
seems
think I
like
need another haircut again.
preconceived notion about a people
The sides
being
are
applied
okay.
to an act in the past.
Who are we talking to here?
Which
Here we
one is
go.
it? It looks to me like you've got two paths here, and I don't think you want either one.
That does sound low just to my ears listening to it.
And including a complete rewrite of the Constitution. It looks to me like you've got two paths here, and I don't think you want either one.
Wow. That is a significant difference.
Okay, explain what you mean by that, gender theorists. Heck, we've used it to make every major change to the government in American history.
They think it
Women's
is a
right to vote,
flexible concept.
Equal protection under the
That
law.
doesn't mean they don't think it's
the
real.
abolition of slavery.
Huh. Huh. I hate that. I'll be real. I hate it. Ugh. Listening to my own fawning behavior. Blech. It's okay. This is what recovery looks like. This is what learning to love yourself looks like. I will model it. I will model it by hating it. Okay. One second, and then I'll get back to video editing. Stop. Record like 30 seconds just angry. I don't even know how to be angry. How am I supposed to do that? Aggro. What can I get angry about? And so good. Do photo edits. I'm a lawyer. Yes, I am a lawyer, and that's why that's probably part of why I fell into being a lawyer, because then I don't have to be angry. I can just rely on the part of my brain that is completely devoid of emotion. Now, if I'm going to be a litigator, especially in front of a jury, then maybe I need to try to like get some emotion in there. Maybe I can just luck into doing every trial in front of a judge instead of a jury. I'm not a litigator yet. Someday. Okay, where are we at? Over here. So I want to cut that. No, we don't want Elwoods. There she is. No.
Mistake. Our system is broken.
I mean, it's frustrating because even when it comes to the absolutely insane shit that we're going through, like I have a hard time getting in touch with anger about that. It's more like I get sad about the people impacted, and there's like a sense of desperation to try to reach the people. Well, there's also confusion about what other people are letting happen, and then like a desperation to get through to the part of them that actually cares about stuff. But like at no point does my brain go, somewhere in here is an off-ramp to getting mad. Trying to broadcast being angry. I think I know what I can get angry about, but I'm gonna have to work myself up to it. Okay, after I finish this video, we'll start working on another video script, and I can build up to some anger on that. Because yeah, Donald Trump, like, I almost feel like, but that it's ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous that I can't process anger about it. And that's not me saying that you shouldn't be angry. That is a mental block for me. Keep going talking about the Hunger Games. Keep talking about it being ridiculous. I mean, I actually need to read that story because I don't feel like I know the whole thing about it. Yes, the Kennedy Center being renamed. Yes, that was the basis for the name of today's stream, was the freaking Kennedy Center and the Gulf of America, and Trump removing the record of his impeachments from the exhibit at the Smithsonian, and him removing the Tuskegee Airmen from the Smithsonian, and like, God, just all of the petty shit, and the fucking the portraits of Biden and Obama in the White House, where have you read that? It's so dumb. It's so dumb and embarrassing. Yeah. It's the most embarrassing thing. Like, I don't know why the Democrats didn't, like, circulate the video of him riding around in the golf cart when he went to, was it the G7 summit? During his first term, when he went to go visit the European leaders, and he like pushed that guy out of the way on stage, and then while everyone else was walking, he rode around in a golf cart. Like, what kind of image of masculinity and virility is that? Like, how does that look like leadership to you? Yes, and he's a pedophile. And just a predator in general. He is a predator in general, and I don't understand how people are okay with any bit of that. I'm also incredibly frustrated with the number of people that I hear in debate streams. And yes, I am consciously maintaining this level of intensity because your suggestion that I get angry. So I am trying to maintain this. It also isn't the direction that I want to go with stream, but I'm practicing. I'm just going to practice for you. But the number of people that I see come into debates where somebody's like, would you support him if he was held liable for raping someone or sexually assaulting someone? And somebody's like, yeah, I would stop supporting him if that were true. And like the debater's like, well, then it is true. It's true. He was held liable in civil court by a unanimous jury of 9 people that he did rape E. Jean Carroll. And then people are like, I would have heard about that if that were true. And it's like, no, apparently not. What are you paying attention to? And yeah, you know, Maddie, I think the thing that you're tapping into is my ADHD. I do need the feed. I need somebody to be like, end this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yes, there is the thing I forgot that I just can't think of in the moment on the spot. But the other one is like, the people who come in and confidently say that he was never convicted of a felony. Yeah, he was. He was convicted of 34 felonies. Where were you? Like, then why isn't he in prison? Because the judge explained that they couldn't give him a sentence properly because he was becoming the president. Where were you? Where were you? He was convicted and he got his sentence, which was nothing. His sentence was nothing. Because you elected him, despite him being a felon. Yeah, I mean, and that's just eternal. Like, the 3 things that I cannot let go of, that I can never let go of, and there are probably more that I can't let go of, is that he is a rapist, that he is a felon, and he tried to overturn a democratic election. No one should be okay with this. That is my pet peeve issue. Like, even more than the rape thing, which, like, it's hard to draw that line, be like, what is more damaging? But, like, the moment that you take away the concept of liberty from everyone, that is insane to me that you will still support it. I don't care what your policy takes are. Who are you to say that it is okay to elect someone then? If they're willing to throw everything away for them to retain power and you're just fine with that, what do you think justifies that? There can't be anything. There can be no policy position that justifies it. Yeah. Hey, oh my God. I got so fed up with my coworker the other day. I don't know if I've already explained this to you, Maddie. You may have been in here when I talked about it the other day, but I was talking to her about the murders in the Caribbean, and she was like, "Oh, you mean the drug dealers, the drug runners?" I was like, "You don't know that. You simply believe it. All you do is believe it. It's just believing it." She goes, No, I have evidence. I don't just believe it." I'm like, "What is the evidence? What is it? What is the evidence?" She goes, There's pictures." I'm like, "Pull one up then. Pull a single one up then." Like, that's completely ignoring the issue that it wouldn't justify killing those people. But if you think you've got pictures of drugs on those boats, then show me one. Because then they would have given that to Congress, and they would have at least some basis to say, we did provide evidence to Congress. But they've shown nothing to Congress to substantiate the claim that those boats are running drugs at all, that there were drugs on those boats at all. There is no piece of evidence that I'm aware of. And besides that, even if you found one, how many boats has he blown up? How many has he blown up? Because that wouldn't justify, even if it were able to justify a single boat, it wouldn't justify every single one. You have to have evidence for each one. Yeah, there was no due process. But I mean, at least in that case, the insane people would be right to be like, well, they are not subject to American law at that point. Everyone on American soil has a right to due process, and American citizens anywhere else in the world have a right to due process. But, like, according to the Constitution, and there may be a body of law I'm not familiar with, but once you are talking about someone who's not a U.S. citizen and it's not on U.S. soil and it's not someplace that the U.S. has jurisdiction, then they don't have a right to due process. They should still have it. Due process is a right, like, we consider it an inalienable right. Like, it's supposed to be a right that is in you and is not something the government can give. It is only something the government can defend. Yeah, you can't kill a person because of the lulz. You can't kill a person just because the government says that it's a worthwhile cause. Which was basically how she walked away from that conversation. She goes, well, you know what? I don't feel sorry for them. It's just their fault. And I'm like, all of them? Like, what about the innocent people? She's like, I do feel bad for the innocent people. I feel bad for them. I was like, okay, so, like, then you feel like it's wrong to murder the innocent people. She goes, it was their choice to be on the drug boats. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? She's like, they were drug boats. They chose to get on them. I'm like, you're still just believing that. And then, like, she started to leave the office at that point. Like, she was on her way out. And I was like, what you have is just, it's a mean opinion. At the very minimum, what you have is being mean. You have chosen being mean. And she's like, I'm sorry, that's their choice. I'm like, no, it's your choice. You are choosing to be mean. That is, like, as much as you and I get along and I love you personally, you are choosing to be mean. You are a mean person at the very least in this case. No, she's not an attorney. She processes payments for not even clients. She processes payments to contractors on behalf of clients. The cruelty is the point. Yeah, it's true. But back to 2020. I mean, oh my God, the news this week where Jack Smith was like, we have undeniable evidence that he attempted to overthrow the 2020 election. I'm like, no shit, we know all of it. Well, no, maybe not all of it, but what we have is undeniable. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, that happened. It's incontrovertible fact that he did do it. Those votes ended up in the hands of Mike Pence on the floor of Congress. That happened. Yeah. I have loved like Parker Got a Job and Dean Withers lately. The like one of the points that they've been hitting is when people are talking about that they don't believe E. Jean Carroll because yada yada yada. They'll be like, so do you not believe the 26 women who have accused him of sexual abuse? Are they all lying? Are you calling every single one of those 26 women a liar? And at least some of them go, oh no, did you build me up just to clip me? Oh God. What is this? All you do is believe it. It's just believing it. She goes, no, I have evidence. I don't just believe it. I'm like, what is the evidence? What is it? What is the evidence? And she goes, there's pictures. I'm like, pull one up then. Pull a single one up then. Like, that's completely ignoring the issue that it wouldn't justify killing those people. But if you think you've got pictures of drugs on those boats, then show me one.
Is this sped up?
Because then they would have given that to Congress, and they would have at least some basis to say, we did provide evidence to Congress. But they've shown nothing to Congress to substantiate the claim that those boats are running drugs at all, that there were drugs on those boats at all. There is no piece of evidence that I'm aware of. And besides that... Huh. That's my first clip. Thank you for my first clip. I was in the zone. I mean, it looks sped up. Look at the way I move. Was I doing that? You don't know that. You simply believe it.
Like, that's
all you do
a
is
natural
believe it. It's
body
just
movement.
believing it. She goes, no, I have evidence. I don't just believe it. I'm like, what is the evidence? What is it? What is the evidence? She goes, there's pictures. I'm like, pull one up then. Pull a single one up then. Like, that's completely ignoring the issue that... And I mean, let me vent on like a slightly different I mean, it is a completely different subject now. During Trump's first term, I was a conservative. I considered myself a conservative, and I was disgusted at every single turn. I voted for Clinton because that's what you do if you're a responsible, like, civil participant. Like, if someone is unqualified for the job in terms of their experience, if they're unqualified for the job in terms of demeanor, and if they have questionable character, you don't vote for that person. It doesn't matter what policy is, because like everyone on the right keeps saying, I don't agree with him. I agree with his policy. And I go, that's not an excuse, dude. You are trying to give yourself an out. That's not an excuse. You have made yourself a disgusting person by putting policy over the character that we expect from a leader. Because you know what happens is we stop expecting leaders to have the qualities we expect of leaders. You're not going to get it again if you let it slip away. You have normalized rape at the top levels of government. You have normalized like verbal attacks on the alternative side. You have normalized trying to refuse governmental services to the political opposition. You've normalized attacking the press and free speech. Like, who do you think you're going to get next time? You have only brought this farther and farther down. And you've only made him worse by doing it a second time. And now it's going to be worse in the future. They're already working on how to get the same level of fervor out of their voting base that they got out of Donald Trump, because they don't have somebody who can do it the same way he did, and they're trying to figure out how. Which, that's my whole conspiracy theory on, is it Erica Kirk? Charlie Kirk's wife and J.D. Vance. That this is a political future marriage. It is happening. It is in the works. And it has been in the works since the day of Charlie Kirk's death, And I think that's being optimistic. That's okay, Maddie. If you did, I would appreciate that. Like I need to develop the mentality and the persona that I need to have when approaching this content. But I need to be able. So this is just practice, and I don't want to maintain this level of persona. I do want to be able to shift gears back and forth, because my main mentality when it comes to approaching the other side is I want to start off gentle, and I want to reach through the exterior person to reach what their actual values are. Because my philosophy is like I refuse to believe that any person has a core value that is, I mean, unless they just have a mental health disorder that prevents them from developing a pro-social foundational core value. Except in those cases, I refuse to believe that anybody holds a foundational core value that is antisocial. So my belief is that if you can find the pro-social core foundational value, you can get them on a track that is actually empathetic and worth building towards something on. So I want to be able to do that. So I want to be able to get back into this mode, where I'm talking to them like a real person. And that's something the part of the reason I started this channel was I felt like I had identified in the debate sphere that there was a lack of that mentality. So one was legal knowledge, and the second, and two was that. And I was like, with that combination of things, I have a unique perspective to give on this. Just wanting you to feel comfortable with those emotions. Thank you, Maddie. I'm learning to appreciate more and more the value of me being vocal. That I personally, I'm not saying not that everyone wouldn't, but I personally get a lot of value out of getting direct confirmation of my security, because I have a long history of trauma, and so I have been avoidant of vocalizing, of being myself, of letting my natural register come out. That's why that I've avoided that so much, or why it doesn't come naturally to me. And so having people validate, hey, you're okay doing that. That's fine. You're good. I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay. Now I can keep going. Yeah. That's the what, anthropology in you. You could pick out the human condition in me. Aw. Hey, I mean, at a minimum, everybody's got to be a little bit nervous making their first video, right? I decided for my first video to be like a politically unpopular one that's 30 minutes long. And something I personally very much care about. Why didn't you tell me about that video before? I'm starting to assume that you hadn't watched it yet. It is, and I didn't even get to all the content that I feel is necessary to have a complete cohesive idea of the understanding of why we need a, yeah, why we need, you being facetious? Why we need a constitutional convention. Because like the biggest thing that I don't, no, like people brought that up with me. They were like, well, then you need to break it up into multiple videos. And I was like, the problem is there are so many popular reasons to shut down the concept of a constitutional convention. I have to address them all at once, or else you're addressing one and then you're leaving it open to be for someone to be like, okay, but there are all these other reasons that we shouldn't do a constitutional convention. So first, I have to explain what one is. I have to build the case for why it's necessary. I have to not only or like I have to I have to explain what it is, then I have to build a case for why it's necessary, and then I have to address the common arguments against it, and then I have to address the and yes, it's hard, and like it's going to be a challenge to do this, and I don't have an expectation that this is realistic at least anytime soon. So like all of that I feel like has to be in one single presentation, or every single individual presentation would just be too weak to stand. Um so the first one would be, we don't need one, we just need to get rid of the guy in power right now. Or we don't need one, that is a like too extreme of a response to the issues we have. Or it's a dangerous thing to have because radicals want a constitutional convention, and radicals could derail a constitutional convention. Or the biggest one that I don't address because it's way too complicated to get into in that amount of time is addressing the fact that Article 5 gives no explanation for the details on how a constitutional convention would work. And because of that, the suggestion is it's up to Congress how it would work. So if I were to even raise that as an issue in my video, then it just shoots the whole video in the foot if I don't solve it. And I can't solve it without spending a lot of time on it. Because my argument in the video is you could do this without the federal government. The states could call a convention and they don't need the federal government to do it, and they can completely dismantle the federal government without the federal government's permission. Sure, but like then my concern is if I release like maybe if I completed the whole video and then released it in chapters all at the same time, that might be worthwhile. But if I did it chapter by chapter and like produced it a little bit at a time, then it's like it wouldn't have the steam to complete the idea. Somebody would watch a chapter and be like, this is a dumb idea. There's so many holes in it. I have no reason to come back again. So it's not like I'm going to get a huge lot, like bunch of people captured with this video anyway, but at the very least, I feel like it needs to be a full concept. I thought about this a lot and like how it could be presented, and I came to the conclusion after a lot of thought that this is the best way I could do it, even if it meant ignoring the worst argument on it. And just for fun, if you want to take a second for me to explain like the best way to I think to go about solving the vagueness problem of the Article 5 Constitutional Convention, is the language says upon application of the states, Congress shall call a convention. That's all the language you get. So under many theories on how a constitutional convention works, Congress could just dictate how, like, the rules of it. What is the extent of the amendments that could be addressed? Are they just going to come up with what amendments are considered at the Constitutional Convention? Who are the delegates to the convention? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But my legal theory on that is if you call a convention of the states before the official convention of the states can just act on their own. So you have a convention to call a convention. Then you have a draft document that all the states who are present agree on, or at least the appropriate number of states agree on. Have everybody sign onto a single document. And then that document explains exactly the kind of constitutional convention that you want to have. Like in terms of these are the type of delegates we want, these are the rules we want. This is the extent that we can consider up to and including dismantling the federal government and replacing it with a new one. And then that document that all the states have signed onto, you provide that to Congress. Congress then has three choices. I could make a separate chapter on this one. Like that makes sense to me. And maybe before I do a video talking about how to politically manage driving toward a constitutional convention, my next video should be, and there's this one major argument. So Congress at that point would have three options. They can either do what I imagine this Congress would do, and that would be just don't call a convention. Like, the states apply, and then Congress just goes, no thanks. If we don't call it, then there never will be one. Period. And who's going to hold us accountable for that? We as Congress interpret our own duties as Congress, so we are just not going to do that. Because what the states are asking for is a dismantling of the federal government, and we as the federal government have the interest in maintaining the federal government, so we're not going to call that convention. Their second option would be to call a convention and still try to do it exactly the way Congress wants to, which at that point would be, let's go to the third option first. The third option would be to give the states what they want and let them have that convention. Obviously, that would be the third option. So back to the second option. If they say, we'll call a convention, you guys asked for a convention, the Constitution says we shall call a convention, so we're going to dictate the rules. At that point, there is a very good legal argument to say that they are not fulfilling their constitutional duty, and they are acting ultra vires outside of the limits of their power, because the language says, upon the application of the states, Congress shall call a convention. And if you call a convention that is anything but what the states applied for, then you are calling a convention that is not on the application of the states. That is a completely different convention. No one applied for it, and you don't have the power to call a convention if the states haven't called for it. And even if you did, then you still wouldn't be calling the convention that was on the application of the states. So at that point, I think the states would be within their power as the creators of the federal government, and in response to somebody, the necessary political body not fulfilling their constitutional duty, to take up their necessary constitutional duty to continue with that constitutional convention, because at that point the congressional role is simply ceremonial. So they could just continue as if the Congress had called the convention, treat it as if they did because they're required to. Yeah, it is frustrating, but the problem, the thing is, we're coming up with a solution to what is already a frustrating problem. So at that point, it's just like, well, this is what we expected, so we're just going to move forward then. I think that's a pretty substantial legal argument. And I need to have lunch with my con law professor again to put that to him to see what his thoughts on it are. And he told me that I need to have lunch with one of the guys that he writes books with, who's another very famous constitutional law attorney. He listened to me on the idea of my project, and he's like, that's really interesting. And like, I think he would be way more interested in this, or at least way more prepared to discuss it than I would. Still, I would want to have lunch with my professor because he's such a cool guy. I love him. I want to, and I really need to. I'm probably going to do that around the turn of the new year. My hope was to have a product to present before I reached out to that professor. And so now I have the 30-minute video, and I want to have at least steam building with my channel to be like, this is a project that's underway. So now maybe I could get your backing. Maybe you have some interest in this, knowing that this isn't just somebody blowing smoke. Somebody is actually doing something. Email tomorrow. Email over Christmas break, because I've got like a full week plus, and so I will email over Christmas break. So you think I should still break that video up into separate videos, even though it's already a video? Even though that video itself is broken up into chapters? What do you think the benefit is at that point? They are chaptered out in the video itself. Like, you'll notice at the beginning of this section, and some of them deserve their own videos in the future. But for right now, I just need to teach you the basics. Let me show you what Article 5 says. Chapter 3, the
Congress,
tool.
on the application
Oh,
of the
yeah,
legislatures
there's
of
a
2/3
chapter
of the several states
bit there.
shall call a convention for proposing
Make shorts.
amendments,
That is the goal. That
or
is
shall
what I'm
be
working
valid
on.
to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution.
That's why I
when
brought it up
ratified
today.
by 3/4 of
Maddie, I appreciate you. You're so invested, and I love that very much. That this would be the inappropriate time to say I'm proud of you, because it's like you being invested in me, and that's I need to appreciate that. I'm not going to be proud of you being invested in me. Thank you for being invested in me. Okay, so right now we got like a 2-minute video on the board.
the Congress.
Oh, but the idea you gave me earlier when I started talking about, I know what I could get mad about, is I want to make a series of videos called An Appeal to the Right. And I want to discuss things in a way that I hope can reach them. In one, I want to talk about TDS and explain what TDS is, in that they need to analyze themselves in how that's working. And the way I'm describing that sounds like no one would ever listen to it, but that's not the angle I want to take on it. The angle I want to take on it is going with my own personal history as a fundy Christian conservative back in 2016 and being like, I was upset. And I want you to understand why I was upset. And I had this conversation with my MAGA coworker too. You say that I have TDS, and I have come to understand that in the past few weeks to be something different than I thought it was. I didn't understand that MAGA thinks we personally hate Donald Trump. And that's why we're obsessed, quote unquote, with him. They think we personally hate him. And I was like, oh, you think I care about that person? I had no idea that's what you thought. Outside of the things he has done in his role, or in his role threatening to become president. That's what I hate. Beyond that, I do not care about him at all. I have no interest. So I want to step back to where I was as a conservative, as a Republican voter in 2016, and explain, like I explained to her, these were my concerns in 2016. These were real problems we already knew about. We knew about the Access Hollywood tape. I was already concerned about that. As somebody who had a 1-year-old daughter at the time, I was upset about that. I was very concerned. Beyond that, we knew about a history of racism. We knew about a history of weird accusations of sexual behavior, like his wife accused him of raping her, and pulling out her hair. We knew about the accusations of inappropriate behavior from the was it Miss America pageants and the Teen Miss America or USA, whatever it's called. We knew about the history of like FBI investigations into organized crime with people that lived in his buildings and what his ties were to that. We knew about his association with at least the concrete company that had ties with the Italian organized crime organizations. There were real concerns. Then, was that TDS? He had no political career at that point. He had run in 2000 and failed miserably. But he didn't have a political career. I didn't want him to have one. One of my favorite nonfiction political writers is Timothy Snyder, fantastic author. His videos and on-screen presence is about the level of a limp dish rag. There are other people I hate in his administration way more than Trump. He's a buffoon. He's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. And the fact that people think he's smart, like, people don't understand that people thought people in the, like, movers and shakers of America, like, they thought he was a joke. before 2016. No one took him seriously. He was not considered to be a genius or a business like a business genius. Nobody thought that of him. There's so much more to that than what people know about. He had solid ties with a minimum three criminal organized groups. Yep. And now we know, like, not only was he directly tied with Epstein, but also, like, Epstein thought he was directly tied with Russia, so... And then immediately after that was, like, me being upset about the involvement of Russia in the not only the 2016 election, but in Donald Trump's campaign. That was upsetting to me as a Republican voter at that time. That was real. As one of my slides says, the concept of a Russia hoax is a hoax. You have been played. People went to prison for the Russian activities in 2016. We know, and Donald Trump Jr. has admitted to meeting with representatives of the Kremlin in Trump Tower about Hillary Clinton. He has admitted to all of that. Money laundering and business stuff, both on him perving on the girls, using the contestants to butter up to business partners and politicians. Yeah, it's... He's such a fucked person. And like one of my stream names, like, a couple days ago was like, when are you guys going to come back to reality? He is calling for people to die, to be executed. First for suggesting that the military should defy unlawful orders. Like, that's it. That's it. And my coworker was upset about it, and she said they said that they were afraid that he would. And I was like, you just used the future tense. You literally just used the future tense in that sentence. She's like, no, I said they were afraid that he would. I'm like, you just did it again. You used the future tense. You said that he will. You said that they were afraid he will. That means he has not done something, so they are not accusing him of doing anything. Even if that mattered, that hasn't happened. So what are you saying that he is justified in saying that they should be executed for? But then he said that people should be charged with sedition, which he already said people should die for. He said they should be charged with sedition for reporting on his health. He had an illegal Russian poker game being played in Trump Tower, one floor beneath his penthouse, and the guy running it, he was palling around with him in Moscow during the Miss Universe pageant. There's so much stuff out there. It's insane. And his dad, or his dad was arrested at a KKK rally. He was never charged with anything, but he was arrested at a KKK rally. Do I like figure skating? I like figure skating in the sense that I appreciate all forms of art, including the art done with the body. So that is I don't appreciate it any more than that. I mean, I guess I'll say I can't claim that I appreciate it any more than that. I made a research document on Trump a while back. I never finished it. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, I had the idea of doing a channel like this way back in the day, and like, I wanted to be perfectly prepared before I even started it. So I started making a document. Hey, Laura, how are you doing? Hey, Laura, how you doing? I like that you have your headset microphone in front of your face. Are you doing something with that? What? Are you doing something with your headset microphone?
No.
Okay. So 20 years ago in Salt Lake City, there was a huge scoring scandal with the French and Russians. Where is my Trump document? Ah, yes, I titled the document Fire Hose of Falsehood. That's what I titled it. Fred Trump. Parents moved to New York City after getting wealthy from providing services, quote unquote, to miners in the Kodiak Gold Rush. So his family made their initial wealth with prostitution. At least that has been claimed. The guy who created that scoring scam was the same guy running the illegal poker game in Trump Tower and later hanging out with Trump at the Miss. Yep. It's all interconnected criminal enterprises. So during the Kodiak Gold Rush, his parents. No, Fred Trump. Fred Trump's parents moved to New York City after making money potentially with prostitution in the Kodiak Gold Rush. Ooh, that's a name that I don't think I've seen before. What? Where did it go? I've seen this guy before. This is a name that an American will forget. Yeah. No, the Kodiak. Like, not just a pimp, a minor pimp. And I mean that with an E. It's pimping out to minors. He's a Uyghur? Can't people who have been subjected to hate not be so hateful? Oh shit, this is a wild dude. This is interesting. That's very interesting. I wonder if the rest of his work had something to do with the conclusion of that case. Klondike? Did I just write it down wrong? Or did I just read it wrong? I put Kodiak. Hello? Hello? What? Is it not in this? Why did I cite to the wiki? Has the wiki been changed? What? How did I get here? Klondike. Man, I just wrote it down wrong. Got me. Austin, my guy. I'm Know Nothing attorney. You know what's funny? If you just own up to being wrong all the time, then it really doesn't matter when you just say that you're wrong. Get used to just saying you're wrong, people. Yes. It is okay to be wrong. In 1927, Fred was arrested at a Queens KKK rally that turned violent. A newspaper at the time said the 21-year-old was arrested for refusing to disperse from a parade when ordered to do so. See, people like to say he was just arrested at a KKK rally. That does not mean he was participating. He was literally ordered to stop participating in the KKK parade and refused. One of 7 people arrested. Trump said he was never arrested, never convicted, never even charged. That's kind of, I feel like you got that backwards. Normally you would say he wasn't charged, wasn't convicted, it wasn't even arrested. All 7 people arrested were referred to as berobed marchers in the Long Island Daily Press. I remember that. I do remember that. It looks like you've done the same level of research on Fred Trump that I have. You just got more correct when you wrote it down. Maybe you don't need to write stuff down. Maybe that's just an ADHD problem. Maybe that's just me. Hi, lasagna. Hi, baby. Come here. Oh, man, you're such a happy dog. In 1934, bought a mortgage servicing subsidiary, giving him access to properties that were about to foreclose. He bought them and sold them for profit. Eventually led the real estate business his parents began. Became the Trump Org. He utilized federal aid to build and manage single-family houses in Queens and apartments for war workers during World War II. By 1942, he had built 2,000 homes in Brooklyn using FHA funds. Congress added a provision to the National Housing Act generating mortgage insurance for defense apartments, through which Trump was allowed to own the properties he built for war workers. He built single-family homes, apartments, and barracks, all with federal program dollars. When Donald was still a toddler, Fred hired public relations man Howard Rubenstein to land him on a list of the best-dressed men in America. See, he learned from his dad. It's all, gotta get the publicity men running the show for you. I've seen that one before. I know I've seen that one before. I don't know my Russian names off the top of my head. They're too complicated for my simple American brain. Okay, all right. Howard Rubenstein, he also hired Rubenstein to send out press releases about his life story. One that parallels the fictional Horatio Alger saga about the boy who parlayed a shoestring into a business empire. What a joke these people are! What a joke! Folk singer Woody Guthrie was a tenant of Beach Haven Apartments from 1950 to 1951. In his unrecorded song Old Man Trump, he complains about the rent and accused Trump of stirring up racial hate in the blood pot of human hearts. Similarly, in an unreleased version of Ain't Got No Home, Guthrie states, Beach Haven is Trump's tower, where no black folks come to roam. No, old man Trump, old Beach Haven ain't my home. You know that family and him? Yeah, that's a name that I used to like have in my repertoire. I know that. Like I used to be able to bring that person up spur of the moment back in the Russia days. In early 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower and other federal leaders began denouncing real estate profiteers. That June, the New York Times included Trump on a list of 35 city builders accused of profiteering from government contracts. He and others were investigated by a U.S. Senate Banking Committee for windfall gains. Trump and his partner William Tomasello were cited as examples of how profits were made by builders using the FHA. The two paid $34K for a piece of land which they rented to their corporation for $77K annually in a 99-year lease, so that if the apartment they built on it ever defaulted, the FHA would owe them $2 million. Trump and Tomasello evidently obtained loans for $3.5 million more than Beach Haven Apartments had cost. Trump argued that because he had not withdrawn the money, he had not literally pickpocketed the profits. Because he had not withdrawn it from the bank, he had not stolen that money. He further argued that due to rising costs, he would have had to invest more than the 10% of the mortgage loan not provided by the FHA. He would have had to invest more than the 10% of the mortgage loan not provided by the FHA, and therefore suffer a loss if he built under those conditions. Builders, including Fred, were found to be lavishing gifts on bureaucrats to gain access to government money and making excess profits. No legal action occurred. There were calls for reforms. So the Trump empire was literally built from the foundation, like from the moment it was beyond a simple real estate company. It was built on the foundation of stealing money from the American people. That's how Donald Trump got rich. From the beginning. You're so sweet, baby. You're so sweet. That's a good point. I had never even considered the idea that they were probably minors being leased out to minors. That, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Jesus Christ. That's the family business. Ew. God damn. This is a sweet dog. This is Lasagna. She's very sweet. She is 1 year old. 1 year old baby. In 1966, Trump was again investigated for windfall profiteering, this time by New York State investigators. And it is, like, people are like, it's New York State, they just hate him. It's like, he's been robbing New York since after Trump overestimated building costs sponsored by a state program. He profited $600,000 on equipment rentals in the construction of Trump Village, which was then spent on other projects. Under testimony in 1966, Trump said that he had personally done nothing wrong and praised the success of his building project. The commission called Trump a pretty shrewd character, with a talent for getting every ounce of profit out of his housing project, but no indictments were made. Instead, tighter administration protocols and accountability in the state's housing program were called for. It's like, the Trump family is the best evidence that you never be lenient. Never, ever be lenient. Hold every person accountable. Because people will now look and be like, look, he must have been good the entire time. He was never caught on anything. It's like, who have you seen be accused of this much stuff? How many people have you seen brought into hearings on this stuff? That nothing ever happens to them. It isn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't absolve them of anything. I wouldn't be surprised if his father was doing that too. Yeah, it would be a weird thing to skip generations. That would be a weird thing to skip generations. I don't think you have mentioned your theory, but maybe, but I don't remember it. Yeah, and each of these series of hearings, each of these investigations always ends with just reform, and it never holding anybody accountable. No, you haven't mentioned that. Not that I recall, at least. In his testimony, Fred even suggested that the lawmakers themselves were responsible for his greed because they created ways for him to take advantage. What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. Oh my god. Man, it's been too long since I've looked at this research. It wasn't just a customer, but a partner. Yep. According to Fred Jr.'s daughter, Mary L. Trump, Fred Sr. wanted his oldest son to be invulnerable in personality so he could take over the family business. But Fred Jr. was the opposite. Trump instead elevated Donald to become his business heir, teaching him to be a killer and telling him, "You are a king." Telling him, "You are a king." Dismantled Fred Jr. by devaluing and degrading every aspect of his personality, and mocked him for his decision to become an airline pilot. In 1981, Fred Jr. died at age 42 for complications due to his alcoholism. which was caused by his father being a piece of shit. Connecting to chat. What happened? What happened? Welcome to the chat room. Okay, we're back. Oh, boy. Donald Trump takes over the organization in 1971. According to his granddaughter, Mary L. Trump, Fred was intimately involved in all aspects of Donald's early forays into the Manhattan market. And Louise Sunshine, vice president of the Trump organization, states that Fred was behind Donald in every way, shape, and form, including financing of these developments. In 1976, Fred Trump was arrested again. This time he was arrested in Prince George's County, Maryland, after failing to comply with citations for housing code violations filed months earlier. His 504-unit complex. I don't know why that's a single sentence. Violations discovered during a routine inspection included broken windows, defective rain gutters, and the failure to install fire extinguishers. Fred's brother was a piece of shit to Fred Jr.? Oh. I'm sure he was. In late 1990, when an $18.4 million bond payment for Atlantic City's Trump Castle was due, Fred sent a bookkeeper to buy $3.5 million in casino chips, which were not used. Trump's castle quickly made its bond payment. The state's Casino Control Commission found the transaction to constitute an illegal loan and fined the casino $65,000. Just crooks. Just crooks. From FOIA requests to the FBI, and an amply redacted 1991 memo implying the Bureau received intel regarding ties to organized crime. Redacted 1991 FBI memo suggesting the Bureau received intel regarding Trump ties to organized crime. Fred Trump. At the end of the Cold War, the victory of liberal democracy was thought to be absolute. Observers declared the end of history, confident in a peaceful, globalized future. But we now know this to be premature. Authoritarianism first returned in Russia as Putin developed a political system dedicated solely to the consolidation and exercise of power. In the last 6 years, it has creeped from east to west as nationalism inflames Europe, abetted by Russian propaganda and cyber warfare. While countries like Poland and Hungary have made hard turns toward authoritarianism, the electoral upsets of 2016 revealed the citizens of the US and UK in revolt against their country's long-standing policies and values. But this threat to the West also presents the opportunity to better understand the pillars of our own political order. In this forceful and unsparing work of contemporary history, Snyder goes beyond the headlines. Okay, I'm going to buy this on Audible right now. Sorry, girl. Academic who made the national news for bailing to Canada? I don't remember that. Where's my Audible? The Road to Unfreedom. Cool, that is in my library now. I remember watching. Did you ever watch the Icarus documentary? That one was wild. I don't remember anything about it, but I remember it being wild, and I remember like being like, "Damn, Russia's fucked." Like the. Okay, Road to Unfreedom is on my list now. Okay, where were we in my research document? Bill Browder. I have heard of Bill Browder. Uh-huh. Sir Bill Browder. Don't just say Bill Browder, Sir Bill Browder. Red Notice. Freezing Order, the follow-up to Red Notice. I've got all this Australian Shepherd fur on me now. What a nightmare. This is a story about an accidental activist. Speaking of accidental activist, I remember when I was working in litigation in Houston, PFAS was becoming a big deal, and I watched the Devil You Know, fascinating documentary on the origin of the investigations into PFAS, which like decades ago. But DuPont wasn't really cool with that. That was a good one. PFAS, the stuff, forever chemicals is another name for it. Yeah. The stuff that's in like 98% of people in the world now. It's in your body. It's never going away. Okay, I'll just leave that up for later. So he took out an illegal loan to bail out his casino. We have a 1991 memo linking Fred Trump to organized crime. In 1992, Fred and Donald set up a subsidiary company, All County Building Supply and Maintenance, which each of Fred's living children owned a 20% stake in. As detailed in 2018 by the New York Times, the business entity had no apparent legitimate purpose and was evidently used to conduct tax fraud by funneling millions of dollars of Fred's wealth to his progeny without paying gift taxes. This was accomplished by billing Fred much more than the actual cost of maintenance work and goods such as boilers. Fraud. That's something the government can't take from me then? What are you talking about? What's something the government can't take from you then? Oh, PFAS? PFAS. Like, I don't know. Did the government have a role in you generating your PFAS? Then I think the government deserves a take back. Fred and Mary reportedly provided their children with over $1 billion altogether, which should have been taxed at the rate of 55% for gifts and inheritances, but records show, which would have been over $550 million, but show that they only paid about $52 million in tax on that inheritance. In 2018, writing for New York Magazine in response to the New York Times expose, Jonathan Chait opined that many of Fred's contributions to Donald were by definition criminal in nature. Incredible, after everything we've read, that would be true. Yeah. Trump's years at New York Military Academy were followed by 2 at Fordham and 2 more at Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, which his brother had reportedly unsuccessfully applied to. His sister Marianne told Blair that Donald got in after a meeting with an admissions officer who had been a high school friend of Freddie's. In 1966, he was deemed. Welcome, iPlatinum Soletti. I'm curious. What do you think is the single most harmful thing Trump has done? The single most harmful thing Trump has done has been. I mean, if you want to word the question that way, not the single most dangerous thing he's done, the single most harmful thing he's done. The single most harmful thing he's done is normalize the degradation of our image of what political or of what civil servants should be, what we are willing to accept in civil servants. The most dangerous thing that he did was trying to overturn the 2020 election. And I don't know how anyone could support him after that. That was insane. Alienating the Western Alliance. I mean, yeah, that's harmful. I'm more worried about what he's done at home. I mean, like, that will impact us, but there are things that I think are more immediate. Another thing that he's done that it will take decades, if ever, which I think is one of the reasons why we need a constitutional convention. Another thing that he's done is he has permanently crippled the administrative state. It's going to be impossible to recover from what he's done to the administrative state. Oh, okay. Well, sorry. Hard for me to care about things from the same perspective when I'm in it. Yeah, apparently even his brother couldn't get into the Wharton School, but also it doesn't sound like Fred intervened to get him into Wharton. iPlatinum, we have been covering the family history of the Trumps, learning about how they got their initial wealth by pimping out women, and as Maddie pointed out, what very likely may have been minors, so girls, to minors in the Klondike Gold Rush. And from there, they moved to New York City, where they made their fortune, not just their enough wealth to move to New York City and start a real estate company. They made their fortune stealing money from the American government. Is Fred the brothel? He's the brothel owner's son. Fred Trump, yeah. Donald's dad. In 1966, Donald was deemed fit for military service, and in 1968, a local draft board classified him as eligible to serve. He was then classified 1Y, a conditional medical deferment, and in 1972 he was classified 4F due to bone spurs. 1971, he takes over what would become the Trump Organization. 1973, 2 years after he takes over, is the federal civil rights suit after the Civil Rights Act, where they were being racist in their housing practices. iPlatinum said is Fred the brothel owner's son. So Fred is the brothel owner's son. It's Fred's dad that moved to New York after making money in the Klondike Gold Rush. Yeah. Minority applicants turned away from renting apartments complained to the New York City Commission on Human Rights and the Urban League, leading these groups to send test applicants. They found that white people were offered apartments while black people were generally turned away, being told there were no vacancies. According to the superintendent of Beach Haven Apartments, this was at the direction of his boss, Fred Trump. Both of the aforementioned advocacy organizations then raised the issue with the Justice Department. In October 1973, the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice filed a civil rights lawsuit against the Trump org. Donald Trump president, Fred Trump chair, for infringing the Fair Housing Act. In response, Trump attorney Roy Cohn, hey, first mention of Roy Cohn, countersued for $100 million in damages, accusing the DOJ of false accusations. What a piece of shit. I hate these people. Did he really? I didn't know that part. I missed the move in between. Some 36 former Trump employees were interviewed by the FBI. Some testified that they had no knowledge of any racial profiling practices and that a small percentage of their apartments were rented to black people or Puerto Ricans. A former doorman testified that his supervisor had instructed him to tell prospective black tenants that the rent was double its actual amount. They're directing the doorman to say this. Like, please don't even come inside, people of other races. Please do not come into our building. We will tell you that it's double the price. Good Lord. 4 landlords or rental agents confirmed that applications sent to the Trump Organization's head office for approval were coded by the race of the applicant. One former employee testified that a code, which he believed was used throughout the Brooklyn branch of the company, referred to lowlifes, such as black people, Puerto Ricans, apparent drug users, or any other type of undesirable applicant. And 9 times out of 10, it meant the applicant was black. Black people were falsely accused or falsely told there were no vacancies. A rental agent who had worked with the company for 2 weeks said that when he asked Fred Trump if he should rent to black people, he was told that it was absolutely against the law to discriminate. But after asking again, he was instructed not to. And was further advised to get rid of black people that were in the building by telling them cheap housing was available for them at only $500 down payment, which Trump would offer to pay himself. He wanted to pay black tenants to go live somewhere else. First time Donald ever made the news was getting sued for racial profiling rejected. Yep. In 1973, that's what we're reading right now. Which Trump would offer to pay himself. Trump didn't tell me where this housing was located. He advised me not to rent to anyone on welfare. A consent decree between the DOJ and the Trump Org was signed on June 10th, 1975, with both sides claiming victory. The Trump Organization because the settlement did not require them to accept persons on welfare. And at the head of DOJ's housing division for the decree being one of the most far-reaching ever negotiated. It personally and corporately prohibited the Trumps from discriminating against any person in the sale or rental of a dwelling, and required Trump to advertise vacancies in minority papers for 2 years, promote minorities to professional jobs, and list vacancies on a preferential basis. Finally, it ordered the Trumps to thoroughly acquaint themselves personally on a detailed basis with the Fair Housing Act. That's funny. That's good. 1974, Trump's first Manhattan project. For 5 years, he commuted back to Brooklyn to the shabby headquarters Fred maintained on Avenue Z, all Formica furniture and plastic plants with a few towering wooden Indian sculptures that Fred collected. Donald parked his Cadillac convertible with the DJT plates next to his father's Cadillac limo with its FT1 plates, and looked for a first deal he could do on his own in Manhattan. He found it at the Commodore Hotel next to Grand Central Station, originally built by railroad magnate Commodore... Who cares? Now, at that point, a crumbling mess that was losing about $1 million a year and filled with rats big enough to kill the cats sent in to get rid of them. The city surrounding the hotel wasn't in great financial shape either. Fred disapproved of Donald taking over the property. Buying the Commodore at a time when even the Chrysler building is in receivership is like fighting for a seat on the Titanic. But in spite of, or perhaps because of his father's reservations, Donald forged ahead. The old man's reaction only inflamed Donald's desire to prove himself, Hurt wrote. It was not enough just to make a good deal for the Commodore. He had to make a great deal that would make his old man and everyone else take notice. Donald did come up with a great deal, an elaborate plan that had the city buy the property and lease it back to the Trump Organization for 99 years with a significant tax abatement that would total more than $100 million. Donald used the New York City Urban Development Commission to fund this plan much as his father had used the MHA in post-war Brooklyn. It's almost like he learned from his dad how to take government money and make profit on it. I like that, Maddie. I like that. Barrett suggests that as much as Donald thought he was moving beyond his father, he was actually a front for Fred. Mayor Abe Beame came out of the same club as Fred. His political associations with Fred were well known. If they had made a deal this sweet with Fred Trump, who had weathered 2 scandals and was scarred by them, it would have looked like the worst kind of cronyism, the worst kind of political insider trading. It had to be done with a glamour boy like Donald, who could get the kind of copy he got, reviving Midtown in the dark days of the city. But if Donald didn't make the deal entirely on his own, he certainly designed the building his way. So Trump got his real estate ego while acting as an in-between for his dad and the mayor of New York City. In the mid-1970s, Donald like an unwitting go-between. In the mid-1970s, Donald received loans from his father exceeding $14 million. In 2015 to 16, during his campaign, Donald claimed that his father had given him a small loan of $1 million, which he used to build a company that's worth more than $10 billion. An October 2018 New York Times expose on Fred and Donald Trump's finances revealed that Fred created 295 income streams for Donald. That includes that the latter was a millionaire and concludes that the latter was a millionaire by age 8, receiving $413 million from Fred's business empire over his lifetime, including over $60.7 million in loans, which were largely unreimbursed. I'm excited to read it too, or listen to it, or whatever, however I'm going to go about it. 295 income streams from his dad. And I couldn't get my dad to stop watching football for 5 minutes. Yeah, right? 8-year-old can take on loans. I mean, this was over the... this was over, like, decades. The wider world of power and influence snubbed him too. He often invited the Reagans to Mar-a-Lago, the Palm Beach estate he purchased, and turned into a resort after he was rejected by the old money Florida clubs, but they never visited. Snubbed by the Reagans. Man, that should have been a running point back in 2016. Like, the Reagans hated them. Yeah, it did sound like that, Maddie. The Reagans never wanted to go to Mar-a-Lago. They're like, are you serious? Trump begrudgingly dissed the establishment, calling them the Lucky Sperm Club. Journalist Jonathan Greenberg reported that Trump called him in 1984, pretending to be a fictional Trump Organization official named John Barron. Here comes John Barron. Greenberg said that Trump, speaking as Barron, falsely asserted that he owned more than 90% of his father's business to get a higher ranking for himself on the Forbes 400 list of wealthy Americans. Aha. The Barron thing is weird. It is weird. It's like he if we go back in time to where Fred was using a hype man to tell lies about his story of rags to riches, and Donald Trump looked at that, he's like, I want to do that. Why can't I find anybody that will do that for me? I guess I'll just do it myself. And poor Eric Trump. Which would you rather be named after, Donald Trump or his ego? In the early 1980s, Trump began his casino empire in Atlantic City by leasing property owned by Kenneth Shapiro and Daniel Sullivan. Shapiro, O'Brien wrote, was a street-level gangster with close ties to the Philadelphia mob, and Sullivan was a mafia associate, FBI informant, and labor negotiator. During a deposition for that libel case, I don't know what libel case we're referring to, for a libel case, which Trump would lose, Trump was asked, have you ever before associated with individuals you knew were associated with organized crime? Trump, who was testifying under oath, answered, not that I know of. Yet when O'Brien had interviewed Trump 2 years earlier, Trump had told the journalist that he believed that Sullivan was mobbed up and he was the guy that killed Jimmy Hoffa. He also described Shapiro as a mob guy. He knowingly did business with people he referred to as mob guys. I don't know if Barron's a banging name. It's like calling your kid Judge. Ugh. Moreover, after New Jersey regulators in 1982 granted Trump a casino license, they compelled him to buy the property that he had leased from Shapiro and Sullivan because of their backgrounds. Shapiro later told a federal grand jury that he had illegally funneled thousands of dollars to the Atlantic City mayor on Trump's behalf. Why are the Democrats so bad at their job? Why are the Democrats so bad at their job? Why? All of this should have been airing over and over and over again in 2016, in 2020, in 2024. The last bit. Shapiro, who Trump did a deal with, who he described as a mob guy, who he was required to buy property from by the state of New Jersey because he was a mob guy. Shapiro told a federal grand jury that he had illegally funneled thousands of dollars to the Atlantic City mayor on Trump's behalf. Want to know why what? This dude thought all Jewish and Italian dudes were mobbed up, whether they were or not. I need a mainland. Oh, you're into this one. Okay, I'm happy to listen to it and report back. We'll do a book club on stream. iPlatinum, if you're still here, I haven't really gotten the chance to say hi. I got too invested in this document. What is going on iPlatinum? What is your political affiliation, and what's going on with you? How's your day been? Maddie is coaching me on being more assertively vocal. It may not be good for America, but it's damn good for CBS. What am I looking at? Oh, this is why the Democrats are so bad at their job? What? iPlatinum, what's the subject you're right on? Politically right, not correct. But like, why are we talking about the press? I was saying the Democrats are bad at their job. Oh, because I was saying this should have been airing over and over and over again in 2016, 2020, and 2024. But surely the Democrats could have made it happen. Wait, how does the left struggle with that? I don't know if you're familiar with American politics, but it's the right that groups those together all as illegals. You have lost me already, iPlatinum. The left does only because the right does, because the left is trying to respond to the right on the group they are defining. What are you saying the left is confused on? In what way do they confuse these two things? Yeah, a both sides argument is always lazy. Always, every single time, lazy. Yes, the left does struggle incredibly hard with messaging. They are incredibly infuriating. Like, ACAB is bad at getting across the point that they're trying to make with ACAB. Defund the police is just a really bad way of phrasing what you're trying to say with that. Hard reboots. What does that mean? Well, iPlatinum, I'm still asking you a question. Okay, I asked you what is a point you would say you're right on, and all you did was say like you would differentiate on things. That's not really a position. Okay, nothing to do with America's right, which is just insane. Also, the both sides argument I think conflates things constantly, because when people, like, part of the laziness is, well, I see lefties on Twitter say blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but I see politicians on the right say that. How are you comparing these two things? Oh, okay. It's their way of negating everything up to that point. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's kind of the same thing as I don't agree with Donald Trump on like I don't support Donald Trump as a person. But I support his policies. Equally lazy, equally erasing everything to try just to ignore everything else. He's not putting. Sorry, Maddie's not putting words in your mouth. I Platinum. We're talking about the both sides argument in generalities. That's true. I've never thought about it that way. That is true. And no one likes to say both sides are bad, so I'm not going to vote for either one. Sometimes that happens, but it's really not common. After the Oval Office meeting, which Oval Office meeting are you talking about? With Zelensky? What were you against Harris for? Israel? I mean, I would be opposed to Harris for Israel, but I if not voting for an individual, I believe in voting for the Overton window. I actually have found that that is the best argument against somebody who is like a protest voter. I've had that conversation with multiple protest voters, and no one ever comes up with a solution. They're like, I guess that's right. What about the Afghan withdrawal was the Biden administration's failure? Where did my document go? Where did my document go? I am not on the right thing. I'm gonna switch back over to just me. Trump's withdrawal was also stupid. Which Trump withdrawal are you talking about? Yeah, so Donald Trump had signed an agreement with the Taliban that the Taliban considered binding. And the Biden administration made the assessment that if they had gone back on a binding agreement with the Taliban, it would have restarted full scale fighting in the region. Yeah, I mean, politicians are prone to gaffes. I think it's more important what their policies are. But I mean, sometimes they can say things that are just unforgivable. And it did that anyway. I mean, the Taliban took over Afghanistan. I'm not sure if that's um, the type of conflict that they were thinking would occur. Well, yeah, fuck the Taliban. But so is your opinion that the United States should have maintained control in Afghanistan? Okay, see, like that's the problem. Like, how are we gonna say they fucked this one up, but I don't know what should have been done? Okay, what was your concern with the way they withdrew? Right. So that's what I was trying to ask about. It was rushed. Do you have specifics on that? Right. What year was it? It was 5 years ago. Okay, the leaving behind billions of dollars in gear is dumb. Do you realize that that's a dumb point? That at that point you're just repeating things. The issue is that it would have been more expensive to remove than the money that was lost. All right, Super Jesus, our far right friend coming in to defend the Biden administration. This is a really fun point that's happening right now. Super Jesus, I hate that you're coming in at this moment because I'm not going to be on much longer. I was also thinking about making some content out of our discussion on gender. Not that your feelings on it are the binding decision, but I am curious what you would feel about me making a shorter form of content off of our previous discussion on gender, and maybe our discussion on abortion too, because I feel like that was also a constructive conversation. Not that it moved you in any way, but the amount that we had to talk about when you draw the line on when your unfounded beliefs should constrain others. I think that was a very valuable conversation. Uh-oh. Message held. Sure. Um, yeah, my concern with Abbygate and it being claimed to be Biden's fault, and I think this is conflating two different meanings of when we say something is someone's fault. There are what can be expected to be intelligence failures that they will happen, and that is where an administration could have been better. The other is it is their fault because they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Maliciously deficient in their capacity to run a military. And I'm not sure that I'm convinced that Abbygate is the latter. It's definitely the former, at least. Yeah, militarily incompetent. Terps. I don't know that term. Whoa, Jesus, what are we talking about now? We've moved on to immigrants? Oh, okay. Like the terp we didn't have when Trump met privately with Putin? Cool. Cool. Okay, let's finish this Trump research document I made back in the day. Um, in 1999, when Trump was considering running for president as the candidate of the Reform Party, he was interviewed on Meet the Press by Tim Russert, who asked Trump about his relations with members of organized crime. I don't know if he was ever asked about his associations with organized crime in 2016. As Maddie pointed out, that may have something to do with the benefit to the press. Trump denied having any such connections. He neglected to mention that he got his start in Atlantic City via that business deal with Shapiro and Sullivan, nor did he refer to working with a cement company owned by mafia captains and with a mob-linked union official when he was building Trump Tower. Yet 8 months earlier, when Trump was not making moves to run for president, he acknowledged that he had done business with organized crime figures. Talking to the Associated Press, Trump remarked, "Usually I build buildings. I have to deal with the unions, the mob, some of the roughest men you've ever seen in your life." Trump also denied interacting with Robert Labuti, a famous horse breeder and high stakes gambler with ties to infamous mafia boss John Gotti. In 1991, the Philadelphia Inquirer asked Trump about his connection to Labuti. At the time, New Jersey regulators were investigating allegations that the Trump Plaza Casino had repeatedly removed women and black people from craps tables after Labuti griped about their presence while playing. Wow. Sucking up to a mafia guy to be racist and sexist, or being racist and sexist to suck up to a mafia guy. Oh yeah, for sure. Like real estate was the prime market for organized crime. I have heard he is a high roller, but if he was standing here in front of me, I wouldn't know what he looked like. Trump never knows anything. He never knows anything. Never knows anyone. Doesn't know what anyone looks like. And when Yahoo News in 2016 asked Trump, oh, Yahoo News in 2016 asked Trump about this 1991 investigation, someone did ask him in 2016 about his ties with organized crime. So it shows what I know. I know nothing. Which resulted in a $200,000 fine. Trump answered, during the years I very successfully ran the casino business. During the years I very successfully ran the casino business, I knew many high rollers. I assume Mr. Labuti was one of them, but I don't recognize the name. The guy he said he had heard was a high roller. Edith Creamer, Labuti's daughter, had a different take. She told Yahoo News that Trump's account was false, that he and her father knew each other well. He's a liar, Creamer said. Of course he knew him. I flew in the Trump helicopter with Trump's then wife Ivana and the kids. My dad flew it up and down to Atlantic City. My 35th birthday party was at the plaza and Donald was there. After the party, we went on his boat, his big yacht. I like Trump, but it pisses me off when he denies knowing my father. That hurts me, she said. Man, I need to show this bit to my coworker who denied that Trump had anything to do with organized crime. And that it was known before 2016. Lasagna, you are pulling on my headset. Please don't do that. Lasagna, back up. They just deny reality. They think he is a perfect saint. And they think that anything that's said bad about him is just a made-up story. Three bare minimum. Yep, three bare minimum. And not to mention the 1991 FBI redacted report that showed ties between Fred Trump and organized crime. Ignoring that one. Damn right, Putin has dirt on him. Epstein sure thought so. Epstein sure wanted in on that game. So does Putin have the picture of Trump blowing Bubba? Now I'm starting to think P-tape was a code word for the Bubba picture. Whew. The P-tape was always real. It just wasn't about prostitutes peeing on a bed on a picture of Obama. It was just about Trump and Bubba. This is such a personal story from Edith Creamer. It's so funny. It's so funny. The Yahoo News story by Michael Isikoff also reported that a 1991 book written by John O'Donnell, the former president of the Trump Plaza Casino, recounted a 1988 meeting between Trump and Labuti. Huh. Aboard Trump's private helicopter. On this flight, according to O'Donnell, Trump discussed buying a racehorse for $500,000 from Labuti. Isikoff also obtained the transcript of a wiretapped meeting in 1990 between Labuti and a top Trump executive, in which Labuti made numerous references to his conversations with Trump and described an occasion when Trump personally handed him a check after he lost $350,000 at the craps table. God, why have I not read this document that I wrote in years? Why have I not read this in years? This is so funny and awful. This is so funny and awful. It's just so undeniable. But Trump was not clean as a whistle. Beginning 3 years earlier, he'd hired mobbed up firms to erect Trump Tower and his Trump Plaza apartment building in Manhattan, including buying ostensibly overpriced concrete from a company controlled by mafia chieftains Anthony Fat Tony Salerno and Paul Castellano. That story eventually came out in a federal investigation, which concluded that in a construction industry saturated with mob influence, the Trump Plaza apartment building most likely benefited from connections to racketeering. Trump also failed to disclose that he was under investigation by a grand jury directed by the U.S. Attorney in Brooklyn, who wanted to learn how Trump obtained an option to buy the Penn Central Railroad yards on the west side of Manhattan. He also probably met personally with Salerno at the townhouse of notorious New York fixer Roy Cohn in a meeting recounted by a Cohn staffer who told Barrett she was present. This came at a time when other developers in New York were pleading with the FBI to free them of mob control of the concrete business. At industrialized ratcheto. What? Trump didn't have a plan. Trump never has a plan for anything. He'll tell you the plan in 2 weeks. Within a few years, Donald Trump had made friends with the city's most notorious fixer, lawyer Roy Cohn, who had become famous as lead counsel to Senator Joseph McCarthy. Among other things, Cohn was now a mob consigliere with clients including Fat Tony Salerno, boss of the Genovese crime family, the most powerful mafia group in New York, and Paul Castellano, head of what was said to be the second largest family, the Gambinos. Most skyscrapers are steel girder construction, and that was especially true in the 1980s, says John Cross of the American Iron and Steel Institute. Some use precast concrete. Trump chose a costlier and in many ways riskier method, ready-mix concrete. Salerno, Castellano, and other organized crime figures controlled the ready-mix business in New York, and everyone in construction at the time knew it. So did government investigators trying to break up the mob, urged on by major developers such as the Lefrak and Resnick families. Trump ended up not only using ready-mix concrete, but also paying what a federal indictment of Salerno later concluded were inflated prices. Repeatedly. To S&A Concrete, a firm Salerno and Castellano owned through fronts, and possibly to other mob-controlled firms. As Barrett noted, by choosing to build with ready-mix concrete rather than other materials, Trump put himself at the mercy of a legion of concrete racketeers. Salerno and Castellano and other mob families controlled both the concrete business and the unions involved in delivering and pouring it. But with Cohn as his lawyer, Trump apparently had no reason to personally fear Salerno or Castellano, at least not once he agreed to pay inflated concrete prices. What Trump appeared to receive in return was union peace. That meant the project would never face costly construction or delivery delays. The indictment on which Salerno was convicted in 1988 and sent to prison where he died listed the nearly $8 million contract for concrete at Trump Plaza, an East Side high-rise apartment building, as one of the acts establishing what S&A was part of S&A was part of a racketeering enterprise. FBI agents subpoenaed Trump in 1980 to ask about his dealing with John Cody, a Teamsters official described by law enforcement as a very close associate of the Gambino crime family. The FBI believed that Cody previously had obtained free apartments from other developers. FBI agents suspected that Cody, who controlled the flow of concrete trucks, might get a free Trump Tower apartment. Trump denied it. But a female friend of Cody's, a woman with no job who attributed her lavish lifestyle to the kindness of friends, bought 3 Trump Tower apartments right beneath the triplex where Donald lived with his wife Ivana. This must be, Maddie, what you were describing as the poker game underneath the... Oh my god, losing my words. The triplex. Cody stayed there on occasion and invested $500,000 in the units. Trump, Barrett reported, helped the woman get a $3 million mortgage without filling out a loan application or showing financials. She had no job. Let's forget for a second foreign enemies of the United States. People put in power a guy this much in bed with organized crime. That person became president of the United States. That's insane. What? Sorry. What are you talking about, Super Jesus? Oh, you're talking about the plan? In the summer of 1982, Cody, then under indictment, ordered a citywide strike, but the concrete work continued at Trump Tower. After Cody was convicted of racketeering, imprisoned, and lost control of the union, Trump sued the woman for $250,000 for alteration work. She countersued for $20 million and in court papers accused Trump of taking kickbacks from contractors, asserting this could be the basis of a criminal proceeding requiring an attorney general's investigation. There were other irregularities in Trump's first big construction project. In 1979, when Trump hired a demolition contractor to take down the Bonwit Teller department store to make way for Trump Tower, he hired as many as 200 non-union men to work alongside about 15 members of the House Wreckers Union Local 95. The non-union workers were mostly illegal Polish immigrants, paid $4 to $6 per hour, with no benefits, far below the union contract. At least some of them did not use power tools, but sledgehammers, working 12 hours a day or more and often 7 days a week. Known as the Polish Brigade, many didn't wear hard hats. Many slept on the construction site. Normally, the use of non-union workers at a union job site would have guaranteed a picket line. Not at this site, however. Work proceeded because the Genovese family principally controlled the union. This was demonstrated by extensive testimony, documents, and convictions in federal trials, as well as a later report by the New York State Organized Crime Task Force. I mean, it was the same flat though, Maddie. It was that special flat just below Trump. When the Polish workers and a union dissident sued for their pay and benefits, Trump denied any knowledge that illegal workers without hard hats were taking down Bonwit with sledgehammers. The trial, however, demonstrated otherwise. Testimony showed that Trump panicked when the non-union Polish men threatened a work stoppage because they had not been paid. Trump turned to Daniel Sullivan, a labor fixer and FBI informant, who told him to fire the Polish workers. Trump knew the Polish Brigade was composed of underpaid illegal immigrants, and that S&A was a mob-owned firm, according to Sullivan and others. Donald told me that he was having his difficulties, and he admitted to me that, seeking my advice, that he had some illegal Polish employees on the job. I reacted by saying to Donald that, "I think you are nuts," Sullivan testified at the time. I told him to fire them promptly if he had any brains. In an interview later, Sullivan told me the same thing. In 1991, a federal judge, Charles E. Stewart Jr., ruled that Trump had engaged in a conspiracy to violate a fiduciary duty, or duty of loyalty, to the workers and their union, and that the breach involved fraud and the Trump defendants knowingly participated in this breach. The judge did not find Trump's testimony to be sufficiently credible and set damages at $325,000. Yeah, it's only in 2016 when suddenly the law was after Trump. Only in 2016 and after. What a joke. What a joke. Orange man bad. What a joke. What a joke of a statement. Y'all just hate everything that he does because you hate him as a person. I don't give a shit about him as a person. Look at this shit. I hate him because he does bad shit. He is a threat of a human being. Man, I really need to share this whole document with my coworker. This is fun. In 1986, 3 years after Trump Tower opened, Roy Cohn was disbarred for attempting to steal from a client, lying, and other conduct that an appellate court found particularly reprehensible. Don't leave that out. other conduct that the appellate court found particularly reprehensible. I want to know what that is. Trump testified that Cohn, who was dying from AIDS, was a man of good character who should keep his license to practice law. That seems like a weird sentence. That is an extremely weird sentence. What the fuck was that? Trump testified that Cohn, who was dying from AIDS, was a man of good character who should keep his license to practice law. What does AIDS have to do with this? He has also spoken up for Shapiro and Sullivan. Oh, good, good. Here come our friends Shapiro and Sullivan again, with Trump backing them up, the guys that he didn't have anything to do with. But he knew they were mob guys. At the time, yes, but what did that have to do with any of the rest of that? And then there was the case of Joseph Weichelbaum, an embezzler who ran Trump's personal helicopter service and ferried his most valued clientele. Trump and Weichelbaum were so close, Barrett reported in his book, that Weichelbaum told his parole officer about how... Weichelbaum told his parole officer about how he knew Trump was hiding his mistress Marla Maples from his first wife, Ivana, and tried to persuade Trump to end their years-long affair. Trump's casinos retained Weichelbaum's firm to fly high rollers to Atlantic City. Weichelbaum was indicted in Ohio on charges of trafficking in marijuana and cocaine. The head of one of Trump's casinos was notified of the indictment in October 1985, but Trump continued using Weichelbaum, conduct that again could have cost Trump his casino license had state regulators pressed the matter, because casino owners were required to distance themselves from any hint of crime. Trump also continued paying Weichelbaum's firm even after it went bankrupt. Cool. Weichelbaum, who in 1979 had been caught embezzling and had to repay the stolen money, pleaded guilty to 2 felonies. Donald Trump vouched for Weichelbaum before his sentencing, writing that the drug trafficker is a credit to the community, who is conscientious, forthright, and diligent. And while Weichelbaum's Confederates got as many as 20 years, Weichelbaum himself got only 3, serving 18 months before he was released from the urban prison that the Bureau of Prisons maintained in New York City. In seeking early release, Weichelbaum said Trump had a job waiting for him. Weichelbaum then moved into Trump Tower, his girlfriend having recently bought 2 adjoining apartments there for $2.4 million. The cash purchase left no public record of whether any money actually changed hands, or if it did, where it came from. I asked Trump at the time for documents relating to the sale. He did not respond. There was, for example, Felix Sater, a senior Trump advisor and son of a reputed Russian mobster, whom Trump kept on long after he was convicted in a mob-connected stock swindle. In Atlantic City, Trump built on property where mobsters controlled parts of the adjoining land needed for parking. He paid $1.1 million for about a 5,000 square foot lot that had been bought 5 years earlier for just $195,000. The sellers were Salvi Testa and Frank Narducci Jr., a pair of hitmen for Atlantic City mob boss Nicky Scarfo, who were known as the Young Executioners. For several adjoining acres, Trump ignored the principal owner of record and instead negotiated directly in a deal that also likely ended up benefiting the Scarfo mob. Trump arranged a 98-year lease deal with Sullivan, the FBI informant and labor fixer, and Ken Shapiro, described in government reports as Scarfo's investment banker. Eventually, the lease was converted into a sale after the Division of Gaming Enforcement objected to Sullivan and Shapiro being Trump's landlords. Man, I forgot. Oh, good night, Light Spectre. I forgot how much was in this. I forgot so much that was in this. God damn. It's funny how Sullivan and Shapiro just keep coming back up. They just keep reappearing in the story. Trump made a deal to have Cadillacs dolled up with fancy interiors and exteriors beginning in 1988, marketing them as Trump Golden Series and Trump Executive Series limousines. The modifications were made at the Dillinger Coach Works, which was owned by a pair of convicted felons, convicted extortionist Jack Schwartz and convicted thief John Staluppi, who was so close to mobsters that he was invited to the wedding of a mob capo's daughter. New York liquor regulators proved tougher than those in New Jersey, denying Staluppi, a rich car dealer, a license because of his rap sheet and his extensive dealings with mobsters, as Barrett's former reporting partner Bill Bastone found in public records. A large, gregarious man with a criminal record and ties to the mafia, Daniel Sullivan began working for Trump as a labor consultant. Later, the pair operated a drywall manufacturing business together that was connected to a racketeering scheme involving the Carpenters Union and the Genovese crime family. Sullivan also introduced Trump to Kenneth Shapiro, who worked for Philadelphia mobster Nicodemo Little Nicky Scarfo as their financier and agent, which he and Trump entered into an Atlantic City land leasing deal with. After Trump was advised that Sullivan would hurt his ability to secure a casino license by the New Jersey's Gaming Enforcement Agency, Trump cut ties with Sullivan, though the two still kept in contact. That is a ridiculous sentence. He cut ties, but they still kept in contact. Trump later offered Sullivan the position of chief labor negotiator at his organization, according to his former consultant. Oh, Trump supporters are embarrassing, man. They're embarrassing. Oh, God. Michael Cohen's uncle, Morton Levine, ran Brooklyn's social club El Caribe, which was frequented by members of Italian American and Russian American organized crime families in the 1970s and 1980s. Leaders of the Russian mob, Evsey Agron and Marat Balagula, were known for using the club as their personal office and handled their business there for years. Cohen also has close ties with Felix Sater, a Russian-born investor connected to both the New York and Russian mafia, whom Cohen has known since childhood. Sater's father was also a reputed capo in the Mogilovich organized crime syndicate. It's weird now that like Michael Cohen is doing like appearances on like lefty legal YouTube channels and stuff, like coming out against Trump. It's like, dude's a fucked up person. We should not let his record become clean because Trump snubbed him. That's really all it is. He got snubbed by Trump, and now he's trying to like repair his image in the public eye. Disgusting. Yeah. I miss the days of Sean Spicer. That's just a random comment. Sean Spicer was so fucking funny. He could not keep his shit together. He would have a breakdown in the middle of a sentence and just start screaming at people. The mooch, was that 2 weeks? Less than 2 weeks? 10 days? Mooch wasn't around enough to like have an impact. It was just funny that he was there for 10 days. The reaction as the mobster in The Rocketeer? What are we talking about? No, the mooch is still a unit. Yeah, it's like it's 10 days long, right? That's the length of time of a mooch. But what does that have to do with The Rocketeer? I'm lost on that one. Despite his mob connections, Sater is also said to have been an informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigations and an asset to the Central Intelligence Agency. Once a stockbroker, Sater lost his license in the 1990s for participating in a mob-linked plot to inflate marginal stocks and unload them onto unsuspecting investors and hiding the profits abroad. The former broker was convicted of racketeering and sentenced to prison. He also spent time in prison for slamming the stem of a martini glass into a man's face during a bar fight. In emails to Cohen, Sater boasted about having ties to Vladimir Putin, saying that he would solidify the real estate deal in Russia that Trump's organization was pursuing with the president's help, and help secure Trump the presidency. Cool. The mooch is equivalent to 10 or sometimes 11 days. Yeah, this is debated whether it's 10 days or 11 days. He was gone in less than 2 weeks. From 1986 to 1988, Trump purchased significant blocks of shares in various public companies while suggesting that he intended to take over the company and then sold his shares for a profit, leading some observers to think he was engaged in greenmail. The New York Times found that Trump initially made millions of dollars in such stock transactions, but later lost most, if not all, of those gains after investors stopped taking his takeover talk seriously. In 1987, when Donald's loan debt to his father exceeded $11 million, Fred invested $15.5 million into Trump Palace condominiums. In 1991, he sold these shares to his son for $10,000, thus appearing to evade millions of dollars in gift taxes. He did it over and over and over again. Trump registered as a Republican in 1987, a member of the Independence Party, the New York State affiliate of the Reform Party, in 1999. Registered as a Democrat in 2001, a Republican in 2009, unaffiliated in 2011, and a Republican in 2012. People love to reference that he used to be a Democrat. He was a Democrat for the W years. Hey, Sarah. I said like 45 minutes ago I wasn't going to stick around much longer, but I'm having so much fun with this document. And I'm letting my kids stay up late because tomorrow's the last day of school for the winter semester. I don't think it matters. Look at me being a great dad. Good shit, Sarah. We have been going through an old research document of mine that just details all of the shit that Fred Trump and Fred Trump's dad and his son Donald Trump got up to. Over, like, right now we're up to, what do we get to? 1991? Why, Sarah? Why? Man, with this document is way longer than I thought it was. Oh, okay. Pretty soon it just gets to me listing a bunch of dates of stuff that I want to research further. So yeah, we're almost done. Things I never got around to continuing to research. In 1988, Trump acquired the Plaza Hotel with a loan from a consortium of 16 banks. The hotel filed for bankruptcy protection in 1992, and a reorganization plan was approved a month later, with the banks taking control of the property. In 1995, Trump defaulted on over $3 billion of bank loans, and the lenders seized the Plaza Hotel, along with most of his other properties, in a humiliating restructuring that allowed Trump to avoid personal bankruptcy. The lead bank's attorney said of the bank's decision that they all agreed that he'd be better alive than dead. 1988, Trump founded the Trump Foundation. We all know how that ends. Everyone loves the Trump Foundation. They care about children with cancer. In 2016, the Washington Post reported that the charity committed several potential legal and ethical violations, including alleged self-dealing and possible tax evasion. Also in 2016, the New York Attorney General determined the foundation to be in violation of state law for soliciting donations and ordered it to immediately cease its fundraising activities in New York. Trump's team announced in December 2016 that the foundation would be dissolved. In June 2018, the New York Attorney General's office... What's that? I'm going to bed. Okay, I'll be there in just a second. In June 2018, the New York Attorney General's office filed a civil suit against the foundation. Trump and his adult children seeking $2.8 million in restitution and additional penalties. In December 2018, the foundation ceased operation and dispersed its assets to other charities. In November 2019, the New York State judge ordered Trump to pay $2 million to a group of charities for misusing the foundation's funds, in part to finance his presidential campaign. Sorry, cancer children. I need to become president. Have a beer. I don't like beer. Doesn't taste good.
I don't imagine it would.
Yeah, Lore doesn't think that beer tastes good either. Take that from a 10-year-old. I agree, Lore. Give me a cider. Give me a mead. I've got a sweet tooth. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
For like,
What's that? Clap. Us clapping from a distance?
okay.
High five clap. Father-daughter stream. In December 1990, Donald Trump sought... Oh, good. I just made a note that said Trump's bankruptcies and defaults. I don't want to go into that. That's boring. In December 1990, Donald Trump sought to amend his father's will, according to Fred's daughter, Marianne Trump Barry, was basically taking the whole estate and giving it to Donald, allowing him to do anything he wants with the properties. The Washington Post wrote that this was designed to protect Donald Trump's inheritance from efforts to seize it by creditors and Ivana, whom he divorced that month. Fred rejected the proposal and in 1991 composed his own final will, which made Donald, Marianne, and Robert Trump co-executors of his estate. Trump's lawyer noted that Fred Jr.'s children, Fred III and Marielle Trump, would be treated unequally because they would not receive their deceased father's share, and wrote to Trump that, given the size of your estate, this is tantamount to disinheriting them. You may wish to increase their participation in your estate to avoid ill will in the future. Following his father's death in 1999, Trump defended his father's exclusion of his grandchildren from the will, with Donald specifically denying any knowledge of his father's mental decline, including his 1991 dementia diagnosis. Marianne Trump Barry later privately admitted that she knew her father had dementia at the time. 1991. While Trump has not filed for personal bankruptcy, his over-leveraged hotel and casino businesses in Atlantic City and New York filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection 6 times between 1991 and 2009. They continued to operate while the banks restructured debt and reduced Trump's shares in the properties. During the 1980s, more than 70 banks had lent Trump $4 billion. After his corporate bankruptcies of the early 1990s, most major banks, with the exception of Deutsche Bank, declined to lend to him. After the January 6th United States Capitol attack, the bank decided not to do business with Trump for his company in the future. I'm going to suspect that they've gone back on that. I don't know. Yay! Trump gets to cause so many more bankruptcies. That's a very good point, Sarah. Yeah, Deutsche Bank doesn't care. They just cared when they attacked the American democracy. And then I'm sure that blew over. 1992...
Very anti...
Anti-democratic?
No.
Anti-American.
Very understimulating, yay.
Understimulating, yay.
Yay.
Lore, while you've been watching videos, we've been going over all of Trump's ties to the mafia. Do you know what the mafia is? Yeah, we've been going over all of his historical ties to the Russian mafia, Italian mafia. It's a lot.
Oh, I remember the word that I forgot.
What?
Climactic.
Anticlimactic?
Yeah.
Way to go. I love your verbiage. I love your vocabulary. Very, very good. That's why you hit that 95th percentile mark. Way to go. Smart ass kid. And my camera has lost focus. Love that. I love that for me. And I just realized that I have not had music going for like a long time. You know what? Who likes music anyway?
Me.
Music is for suckers.
Yay.
Yes. So one of like I want to make a series called Appeal to the Right, and so I said earlier one of that's what sent me down this spiral. One of my videos I want to make about TDS and explaining what TDS is, how the right are the participants in TDS, explaining that people who did not like Trump from the beginning of his political career did not have some kind of odd like obsession with him. All of this has been known the entire time. Um, but the other one I want to do that I already did a like a rudimentary script for, and I read on my first stream, which is still up on YouTube because all of my streams are up on YouTube. Because I'm keeping track of this project from the very beginning so that nobody can ever accuse me of having gotten a lift up from the DNC or whatever. I mean, like, you can watch every step along the way where I did all the stupid shit that like people who don't know how to do what they're doing do. Um, but the second script idea for my appeal to the right is explaining that a war is being committed against them with words, and conservatives have a fascination with the power of words. The left like cares about what is underlying the words, but the right will just latch onto a word or a phrase and it becomes its own concept. And it is a concept that is divorced from the values that they tie to the concept. And then the word or phrase can go on to mean anything as long as it has the initial tie to the values that they feel they actually hold. Then as long as that original tie exists, then that concept can go on to mean anything at all. Doesn't matter. And Obamacare is one of those words. It is a word that is used against them because there are so many conservatives that support the Affordable Care Act but hate Obamacare. That is their own people using that against them. The people that are supposed to be their representatives, they are using those words against them. And that's something that I want to touch on in a video. Yeah. Okay, I got like one last page here. In 1992, all county building supply, the increased costs were used as justification to get state approval for increasing the rents of Trump's rent-stabilized units. In 1999, at Fred's funeral, Donald spoke and talked about himself. In 2000, Trump ran in the California and Michigan primaries for nomination as the Reform Party candidate. In Michigan? In California? For the 2000, as a form, in the primaries, okay. For the 2000 United States presidential election, but withdrew from the race in February 2000. A July 1999 poll matching him against likely Republican nominee W. Bush. Oh, that's why he became a Democrat! He's so petty! He's so petty! He was a registered Democrat for 8 years because Bush humiliated him. That's so petty. It's so pathetic. That's a fun fact to pull out next time somebody says, you know, he used to be a Democrat, right? July 1999 poll. 2004. In 2004, Trump co-founded Trump University, a company that sold real estate training courses. After New York state authorities notified the company that its use of the word university violated state law, its name was changed to the Trump Entrepreneur Initiative in 2010. In 2013, the state of New York filed a $40 million civil suit against Trump University, alleging that the company made false statements and defrauded consumers. In addition, 2 class actions were filed in federal court against Trump and his companies. Internal documents revealed that employees were instructed to use a hard sell approach, and former employees, it's fun if you if you say, when did TDS start? Let's work our way backwards. When did our concerns about Donald Trump become irrational? Was it when he defrauded a children's, like he stole money from what was intended to be a children's cancer charity for his 2016 election? Was it before that when New York State found that his fake university had been defrauding customers? Or was it before that when he was working with organized crime? Was it before that when he was the first? His company was the first sued by the federal government under the Fair Housing Act? Was it before that when he wasn't even the one running the Trump organization? Like, oh, so it goes back to Fred Trump? Do we have to go all the way back to prostituting women out to miners in the Klondike Gold Rush? Like, when does TDS start? In 2011, Trump speculated about running against President Barack Obama in the 2012 election, making his first speaking appearance at CPAC in February 2011 and giving speeches in early primary states. In May 2011, he announced he would not run, and he endorsed Mitt Romney. Trump's presidential ambitions were generally not taken seriously. In 2020, the New York Times obtained Trump's tax information extending over 2 decades. Its reporters found that Trump reported losses of hundreds of millions of dollars and had since 2010 deferred declaring $287 million in forgiven debt as taxable income. Just a tax cheat. His income mainly came from his share in The Apprentice. His income mainly came from The Apprentice. And businesses in which he was a minority partner, and his losses mainly from majority-owned businesses. Much income was in tax credits for his losses, which let him avoid annual income tax payments or lower them to $750. During the 2010s, Trump balanced his business's losses by selling and borrowing against assets, including a $100 million mortgage on Trump Tower and the liquidation of over $200 million in stocks and bonds. He personally guaranteed $421 million in debt, most of which is due by 2024. As of October 2021, Trump had over $1.3 billion in total debts, much of which is secured by his assets. In 2020, he owed $640 million to banks and trust organizations, including Bank of China, Deutsche Bank, and UBS, and approximately $450 million to unknown creditors. Cool. Well, that does it for my old research, Doc. It was a good time. I'm glad that y'all could go through it with me, and I definitely have something to give to my MAGA coworker. Hey, Laura. Oh. It's all AI fake news. And none of that even got into his predator behavior. And then it gets into all of his stuff, beginning with his political career, which is a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, thank you for being here, guys. I love y'all. Y'all are wonderful. I'm glad that y'all spent a bit of your evening with me. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Almost a 3-hour stream. I'm Know Nothing Attorney. I know nothing so you can too. I invite you to, because it's only in embracing that we know nothing that we can learn anything. And I relearned a lot this evening. A lot of fun stuff. And I hope you did too. I think Maddie's just an expert on this, and Maddie didn't learn anything. As always, I'm proud of you. I don't need to know you personally for that to be real. You deserve to hear it. Because life is hard. It's always been hard, and it always will be hard. And the way you face it each and every single day, the way you do, is remarkable. So stay remarkable, and I'll see you next time. tomorrow night, which will be, God, I want to say not after midnight, but I don't fucking know. Oh my God, I didn't even, tomorrow's Friday? There is a really good chance my stream's going to be after midnight tomorrow. Because, man, I've got a Christmas party tomorrow night, and then the girl I've been on 2 dates with, I'm supposed to text her after I finish at that Christmas party to see if it is too late for us to hang out. And depending on if that happens and when that ends, I don't know when that'll be, but I'll be here for at least a bit at some point late tomorrow night is my hope, gamble. What time? Hold on. What time is the Christmas party tomorrow? I know everybody's already checking out because I did my sign off, but I at least want to state on the air when I'm planning to do the stream. If I can do a bit of streaming before I go to the party, that would be all the more perfect. Christmas party, 7 p.m. There is not a good chance I can pull that off. That's right, Sarah. That's right. I'm going to be in New Zealand in March. I don't know how I'm going to handle my stream at that point, but I haven't figured that out yet. But I'll just start working on New Zealand time right now. I'll get ready for the jet lag. 7 p.m. I'm supposed to have a white elephant gift. And I'm supposed to have an ugly Christmas sweater. I have a Merry Krampus Christmas sweater, I think, somewhere. That'll work. But I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about a $25 white elephant gift. I have lunchtime tomorrow. I can run to the mall. Okay. So that's it. I'm proud of you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Y'all are excellent as always. Have a good night. Peace, everybody.